All right, so the fall has ended. Dawand Jones finally goes here. Someone who I had as an early second round grade on. That's kind of around where a lot of people had him at. A lot of people even had him as a first round talent potentially. He goes here at pick 111. 110 players selected before him, and it's very fascinating. I'm assuming, so listen, here's the first thing, and we're going to talk about it once we get into the film and all that stuff in just a second, but the first thing we have to know about him, he's 6'8", 370 pounds. I mean, the physicality that he brings to the table is very much unlike what a lot of other people bring to the table. He is a unique player in that, right? So I think some people are going to actually be wary of that. Okay, yes, typically it's better if you're bigger, but, we saw with Evan Neal, who wasn't as, stout as Jones was. Evan Neal, this physical freak of an athlete who was huge and also had a lot of production, and even he struggled his first year in the NFL. And I wonder if teams are maybe, I speculated, could the fact that Evan Neal had a bad rookie year hurt Jones a little bit in this upcoming evaluation and upcoming draft, even though that's not really fair. It's not his fault that Evan Neal had a rough rookie year, and obviously, just because you're tall doesn't inherently make you a good player, of course. But, I wonder if that factored in. But the reality is, he had really good production in college, and at least good production, maybe not really good, but he had good production in college. And while the negatives are the negatives, and we'll get into the negatives, he's someone who, I think people sometimes overthink this stuff. It's better to just get a player who is good at football, and Dawand Jones is good at football, and his quote-unquote negatives, okay, listen, guy ran a 5.3, all right? That's not a very fast 40-yard dash, although, again, it does kind of break my brain that someone who's 370 pounds can run a 5.3. Like, that's faster than I could do it, I'm pretty sure. And he does it at, got quite some weight on me. So that's kind of almost scary to think about. But in the NFL, with the freak athletes that they have there, that's not considered too fast. But again, there's things that he can do. There's things that he can be effective at. And for a team like Cleveland, who, again, is a very analytically inclined team, I do think that they look at this and they feel like, let's take a chance on a guy like this who maybe could have, maybe could have his weaknesses of not being the best athlete. But if it works out, we could have a potential star tackle in this draft class. I mean, it's interesting because they don't need any offensive linemen. I mean, you look at the 5 starters on their roster. You have Ethan Pockett, Wyatt Teller, Joel Benito, Jack Conklin, and Jedrick Wills. I have no notes really. I mean, I guess you could maybe look for an improvement with Wills, but he's still an effective player, former first rounder. But that being said, we are talking about round 4 at this point. And when we're into round 4, you pay less attention to, let's get someone who is in need and someone who can, help us out right away. Getting a good depth player at round 4 is not a bad strategy. So I really like him. I'm surprised that he fell this far. I really am. Again, this happens every year where players that we think are going to go earlier end up, falling. But it is a surprise to me. Pro Football Focus had him as actually number 31 on their big board. So they had him as a potential first round talent. And again, on the consensus big board, 46. So going, over what is that? 60 spots past. Math is hard, but yeah, over 60 spots. We have 65 spots past where he was supposed to be on the consensus big board. Wonder if there's something people know that we don't, but I'm a fan of this selection. But yeah, let's get into what I like about the player himself. So this is Dawand Jones's statistics, and there's some interesting stuff here. He did have a small drop-off from 2021 to 2022, but still 2 solid seasons, I would say. Not spectacular for, a top tackle prospect, but not a disaster by any means. The overall stats, again, solid run blocking grade, not quite as good pass blocking grade, which is, I think typically people look for guys who have the other way around, who are better pass blockers than run blockers. Obviously, the main thing about him is going to be the size, the fact that he's 21 years old, 6'8", 374 pounds is what he's listed at. That's insane. And let's talk about what we see on tape. So right here is where he is. It's a one-on-one matchup going up against an edge rusher right here. And watch what happens on this play. Look, as the edge rusher is trying to basically, I feel like the whole time, figure out what he's supposed to do. For Jones, he kind of struggled a little bit getting out of the box. Jones is in position, and what do you do at this point, well, you're going to see that he is, basically, again, trying to use his speed to get around him. But the issue is when you have those long arms and when you are so big, it is more difficult to get around a player like that because, again, you have to get further around them, right? So while you might think, okay, this huge guy, let's use speed to get around him, doesn't always work out as well as you might expect. Although, going over here, kind of in that same vein of him maybe not being the quickest, you do definitely see it on tape. You do see him, examples of him not being the quickest. This is going to be a double team, and then he's going to move up to the next level. That's kind of how this is going to work. And watch how when this play begins, you do see that, again, just a little slow, just a hair slow in getting out to that next level. He had to finish off the double team and all that, but this isn't really in position to get up to the next level. And this is something you see a pretty decent amount with him, which is, again, as you might expect given his size. As you see, isn't able to block that player. Running back went down before that point anyways, so it didn't matter. But still, that's worth noting is that, again, listen, the guy's huge, right? He's not going to be as fast as someone who's smaller. That just obviously makes sense. And the one thing I would say is I think that might actually hurt him a little bit more this draft than it would if it was last draft, simply because kind of the most obvious parallel you can think of is Evan Neal, who was last year, this huge guy. I believe he was 6'8" as well, and he did not have a very good rookie year at all. So I think people might be a little bit more concerned, than they otherwise would have. Maybe don't view it as much as a plus as they might have earlier, even though, Jones is definitely a lot bigger, he has a lot more weight on him than Neal did. But this play is exactly what I like about him. I just trust he's going to be like a good, pass blocking tackle. I think he's just going to work out. I think a good run blocking tackle as well. Maybe not the quickest, maybe not the guy you want to go up to the next level, but that's fine. I think he can just win one-on-one matchups pretty consistently. Watch how when this play begins, you do see that right here. He's able to get the hand placement he wants, and the reality is, if that happens, it really kind of is game over, and it happens pretty frequently because, again, he has that long reach. Watch how he is able to hold on. The reality is his hands are very good. And again, he has an advantage just having longer arms, but he utilizes that advantage. And that's what you want to see. Sometimes, like Evan Neal, for example, has that huge advantage, but didn't utilize it the way that you wanted to see him utilize it, which is what led to a rough rookie year. And again, young player, he could get better. But for Jones, I don't think he's going to have that struggle year one the way Neal did, because I do think he uses his hands a lot better. Like something like this is another example. Again, it's a one-on-one block, and the reality is when he's in these one-on-one block scenarios, he tends to do a very good job. Watch how when this play begins, again, gets solid hand placement right here, and so wants to clear out a gap for the running back to try and run through, right? But look at how he's exactly able to do that. They are able to get a pretty good gap, and because of that, they're able to get a good run on that play. These are the kind of things that Jones does really consistently, and it's what I like about him. It's why, I didn't have him as a top 5 offensive lineman on my board, but I had him at 6, so he was right there. He didn't quite make that cutoff, but I really do like him a lot and think he's a good player and a very unique prospect as well, so that's kind of what I think he brings to the table. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.